Good morning all, welcome to the morning after show, the morning after the night before. I've had a little bit of a break. I was away with my wife last weekend, so I did not watch the Brentford game. Some will say for the best. The Tottenham match I did watch, but I didn't have time to do a video, and by the time I thought about it, 2 or 3 days had gone past. I thought, right, it's too late. However, we are through to the next round of the FA Cup. Newcastle United triumphant at Villa Park. A ground that in the last 4 or 5 years, largely we've had little success and tasted resounding and convincing defeat. I remember 2 seasons ago we went to Villa Park and won 3-1. Was it Jacob Murphy and Fabian Schär scoring 2 goals? Last season I believe it was 4-1. I think Fabian Schär might have scored in that game as well. Took the lead. And then we were quite easily dealt with. The season we finished fourth and qualified for the Champions League. We got beat 3-0, and on the day that was a cracking result because I think Villa hit the post 2 or 3 times, and yeah, it could have been so much worse. However, this is the 3rd time playing Aston Villa this season. We now have levelled the scores: 1 draw, 1 defeat, and 1 win. Obviously, Villa Park in the league was 0-0. I believe it was, it was the opening game of the season. We were the better team on that day, created a couple of good opportunities, but with no striker, failed to capitalise. But last night, wow, I want to say, obviously, the turning point was the Villa goalkeeper being sent off. However, I think from minute 1 to minute 94 or whatever it was, Newcastle overall were probably the better team. Villa had a couple of chances. Obviously, they scored their goal. It was offside, but there we go. I remember a Douglas Luiz shot from outside the box. I think it was Buendia who scored at St James's Park, wasn't it? But when Douglas Luiz hit that, and he hit it well, I thought, oh no. There's a couple of other sort of half chances. But overall, we were the better team, I believe. We didn't create an awful lot in the first half, but I thought we kept the ball well, a lot better than we have at other times this season. Nick Voltemada in the first half was dropping extremely deep, but he was making some good choices in midfield, popping off some good passes, getting hold of the ball. When the press came on, you think, oh my God, he's just going to get shoved off the ball or they're going to pinch it. But he used his frame and his long legs to sort of retain possession. So let's talk about the Aston Villa. Well, let's look at the starting lineup for to start with. So a 4-5-1 out of possession and a 4-2-3-1 in possession. We had Aaron Ramsdale in goal, Lewis Hall at left back, Kieran Trippier at right back. Centre halves of Dan Burn and Malik Thiaw. No Botman on the bench, which I'm hoping that's just because obviously he's been in and out of the team through injury this season. He's came back from his latest injury and has played pretty much non-stop. So I'm hoping that was just a case of, right, let's rest him for the remaining fixtures. But pretty happy with that back 4 selection. I would like to see Malik Thiaw come out of the team at some point. Not because he's playing badly, but he's played, I think they said on the commentary now, 36 consecutive matches. It's a lot. And I can only think of a handful of, maybe one of those matches where he's come off. And that was, he came off at half-time again. Was it that mental Leeds game? Into the midfield. Actual midfielders: Sandro Tonali, Jacob Ramsey. Harvey Barnes off the left. Jacob Murphy off the right. Voltemada in the 10, that's how I read it, and then, or how I saw it unfold, William Osula up front for his first start in some time. Now, the free kick leading to their goal, some 30 yards plus out. Morgan Rogers is lining up, looking like he's going to shoot. One of the best players in the country right now, and I was thinking, oh, if he catches this, well, he could cause us a problem. As he lines up, starts to look quite serious in his run up and his stance and all this sort of thing. Douglas Luiz pops it over the wall. Tammy Abraham is Johnny on the spot, reacts well, and in fairness to him, it is a tidy finish. Controls it off the chest and then just squirts it over Aaron Ramsdale. Tidy finish. Now, they said at half-time in the studio, could Ramsdale have come out I think it's Wayne Rooney made the point. Could Ramsdale have gone to that situation a fraction earlier to close that distance? And if he had, maybe the ball hits him on the shoulder or something, as opposed to squirts over his shoulder. But there we go. The fact of the matter is, Tammy Abraham is offside. There's no two ways about it, and that is just the first of many. I say many. The first of several wrong decisions made by the referee and the officiating team. Because I'm not going to put all the blame onto the referee, because he's not on his own there. I'm going to park elsewhere because I cannot see. Right. Yeah, he's not on his own. He's got a linesman, he's got a fourth official, he's got other people there to help him with these decisions, and they got that one wrong. The linesman is back, clues in the name, is bang in line with it. How he misses it, I don't know. But there we go. No VAR in the FA Cup. So that's that. Newcastle continue playing quite well, popping the ball around nicely, taking certain players are taking charge, but we're not creating enough. We're a little bit, I'm not going to say lackadaisical or languid, but we're a little bit slow in our build-up play. Nick Voltemada is coming so deep, trying to make things happen, in fairness to him. But then when we do get the ball, the gap between him, or the gap between Osula and the rest of the team, is so vast. Whereas in number 10, you're meant to occupy that space and provide that link. But we're in the game. We're playing fine. We're playing fine. We're looking like, do you know what? At times this season, when we've gone 1-0 down, particularly away from home, you almost know in your gut that that's game over. We're not going to score. Old Trafford was a prime example. As soon as they scored that goal, I thought we could play all day here and we're not going to score. There we go. The deciding moment, I think it's 43, 44 minutes, right before half-time. I think is it a Villa free kick, or it might be a Villa corner set piece of some description. We defend it, and then we manage to nick the ball on the edge of the box. And I think it's Kieran Trippier. And this amazed me at the time, because I've criticised Kieran Trippier recently for his passing not being up to scratch compared to his usual high standards. But he controls this ball and passes this ball so quickly with such accuracy under so much pressure, gets it out towards Jacob Murphy. The goalkeeper, Bezo, comes steaming out from nowhere. Jacob Murphy touches it round him with the outside of his right foot and gets taken out. Immediate red card. Now, that was the first correct decision, because prior to that, you'd had 2 penalty shouts, one for Lewis Hall, one for Harvey Barnes. Neither of them, I thought, were definite penalties. The Lewis Hall one, perhaps there's an argument. The Harvey Barnes one, I didn't think there's much in it. But Luca Dean takes out Jacob Murphy high on his shin. Well, on his shin, I say like the side of the calf muscle. Leaves a mark and he gets a yellow card for it. He misses the ball and takes him out. He studs her up. And that, to me, if VAR was involved, that is a red card. Now, then that lends other questions a bit, VAR, which we'll touch on later. But those 3 decisions have gone against us. There's free kicks not happening, not being given. The referee is proving himself to be the 12th man for Villa Park, or for Aston Villa, soon to be the 11th. Then that happens with the goalkeeper, immediate red card. Is it a goal-scoring opportunity? You have to say yes, because Murphy has touched the ball. He's beaten the goalkeeper. The ball is behind the goalkeeper now. And Aston Villa have defenders running back, but Jacob Murphy is behind the goalkeeper, running towards an empty net, albeit on the wing with other players in support. The fact of the matter is, Aston Villa defenders can do all they can, but there is no one guarding that goal. And if they do have a defender on the line guarding that goal, they are only as wide as their shoulders, because they cannot use their hands. Nothing comes. We have a free kick. We threaten in the air, but nothing comes of it for half time. And that is where we're going to pause this video. Back in the car, we continue. So half time, reflecting on a good Newcastle performance thus far. A little barren in terms of chances created. I thought William Osula looked a bit of a threat every time he was involved, but those moments did not occur frequently enough. He was isolated, but when you got the ball into him, he's got that enthusiasm, that sort of almost wild energy. I think Craig Hope, obviously prominent Newcastle United journalist for the Daily Mail, described William Osula as having that chaos factor, and I think that is a good way of describing it. He does present that chaos factor, unrefined at times, but he makes things happen if you give him the opportunity. But the distance between him and the rest of the team was an issue. So we're reflecting on a good Newcastle performance. We just needed to speed up the play, speed up our play, our incision, our passes. I'm going to go this way. And apart from that, we looked okay. You know, the goal was offside. If it was in the Premier League or Champions League, it would not have stood. Villa are down to 10 men. They should more than likely have been down to 9 because Luca Digne's got away with one there. But there we go. Second half, we do up the ante. We take advantage. We speeding up the play, quicken the passes, spread the pitch, look good. Again, not creating these gilt-edged opportunities. But Anthony Gordon comes on for William Osula, goes up front, shows that enthusiasm. He has a decent chance. I think it was at 1-0. It might have been at 1-1. I can't remember. It was all a bit of a blur because it was such a good game. Skews it wide, takes a deflection. Then comes the worst decision from the referee of the lot. Luca bloody Dean was in his box as a left back, and if you're looking at it from the goalkeeper's perspective, he's in the top left hand corner of the box, right? 3 or 4 feet within the box. Kieran Trippier whips the ball in. Luca Dean gets in the way of it. It is a clear handball, not hand of God clear, but there's no doubt. The referee blows for handball. You think, right, this has got to be a penalty. Gives a free kick. Now, at the time of the referee blowing his whistle, Luca Dean doesn't have the wherewithal or brains to jump outside of the box. He's rooted to the spot within the box. So, unless he's jumped backwards, which he clearly hasn't, he must have been in the box, referee, because he's still there now. Players tend to jump straight up or slightly forwards. Right? They never jump backwards, or very rare, particularly in that scenario. The referee, it showed in the studio at full time, has a clear view of it. The linesman has an even clearer view of it because of how close it is to him, and how they've got that one wrong is beyond me. Should have been a penalty, probably Anthony Gordon taking it, probably 1-1. Leads to a corner, or the ball goes in, comes out, bit of a scramble. Sandro Tonali bangs it in. Now, I can't remember if that Luca Dean controversy was prior to Tonali's first or second goal, but they're both similar scenarios. Ball squirms out, Tonali hits it hard, it cannons off Douglas Luiz and goes in the goal. Now, he struck it well, it's going towards his right, and considering how well he struck the second one, you're probably thinking if that's on target, it's a goal. But it hits Douglas Luiz, changes direction. Emi Martinez, slightly unfortunate, but who cares? That should have been a penalty. We've had numerous decisions go against us. We'll take that. A few minutes later, a similar scenario. This one might have been from a corner or some sort of set piece opportunity. The ball squirts out again outside the box. Dan Burn has the smart thinking just to lay it off. It's not the greatest pass in the world. It's not the most important pass he'll ever make, but he just gives it to Sandro Tonali, perfectly weighted on the edge of the box, teeing up that shot. Tonali hits it, boom, bottom left-hand corner from about over 20 yards. Sensational strike. From that point, there's no doubt in my mind that we're winning this game. I was very, very confident after the equaliser, but after that goal, there is no doubt in my mind. I'm going to have to pause again. Apologies. We're back once more. So from that moment on, as soon as Sandro Tonali wallops that, I'm not going to say wallop because wallop suggests that it was a hit and hope. It was a refined strike, but it was a clean, pure strike. Great technique into that bottom left-hand corner. As soon as that happens, we're on our way. Aston Villa offer no resistance. I think there was one moment where Ollie Watkins is onside because he's in his own half and he's racing Kieran Trippier. Kieran Trippier's the last man, and he fouls Kieran Trippier. Arguably a debatable foul, but Kieran Trippier was relieved. I was relieved because Ollie Watkins, his scoring rate or just overall performances against us is, he tends. Newcastle must be one of his favourite teams to play. But there we go. We hang on. Then we get that third goal in the 88th, 89th minute just to secure it. We're pressing high. Villa are trying to play out from the back. They make a right hash of it. When I think the ball squirts to... saying that a lot today, no? The ball falls to Joe Willock, who's pressing. Buendia, I believe, makes the tackle on Joe Willock, and for once, Nick Voltemada is high enough up the pitch to affect things. He sprints towards the ball and bangs it into the top left-hand corner. You look on the replay, I think, is it Pau Torres? Sort of tackles the ball onto Nick Voltemada, because you look at it and you're thinking he's hardly touched the ball there. There's no follow through, and he's put it in the top corner. But he showed that unbelievable weird technique in the penalty against Forest, didn't he? Either way, it doesn't matter if it came off his foot, his hair, his arse, his ankle, his knee, whatever. He's got a goal, his first goal since the Chelsea draw. Fantastic. What a way to cap off an unbelievable cup tie. Such an important game. I've said a few times to a friend of mine, if we do lose in the FA Cup, it's not the end of the world, because of we haven't got the biggest squad, we've got injuries, we haven't got anywhere near as many injuries as Tottenham Hotspur, but you just look at the players who weren't available today: Lewis Marley, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, Sven Botman, Emil Kraft, Timo Livramento, Fabian Schär is out for the season. I've already said Bruno, but I'm going to say him again. Bruno Guimaraes, our most influential, most important player. Now, that is our first game we've ever won without Bruno Guimaraes in the team since he joined the club, which is an incredible statistic. But is that a turning point? Aston Villa are a top team, and we've just beaten them, I would say, fairly soundly away from home. Yes, they will whinge. You only won because the goalkeeper got sent off in a moment of madness from their goalkeeper. However, if we want to look at fairness in that game, we're a shout to have a penalty in the first half. Luca Digne should have been sent off in the first half. Their goal was offside. We should have had a penalty in the second half. And so in the balance of probability, we have won that game. No doubt in my mind. Great performance. That's out of 4 consecutive away games, that is 2 done and dusted wins, and convincing wins, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at Villa Park. We now go to play Karabag away in the Champions League in Baku, Azerbaijan. I'd take a draw there. Because I think the return leg, we should smash the life out of them. However, if we can get a win away, that means when we have our return leg at St James's Park, we can relax. Not relax a bit, but take a few players out. We don't have to play Malik Chow for his probably by then 39th game on the trot. We can bring Barnes out the starting 11. Give Whistle or Voltemada a go up top. We can play one of the Alex Murphy at left back. We can go for Sahar's debut at right back. The But yeah, overall, cracking result, cracking performance. Really happy with that. Love the players talking up Eddie afterwards. Love the fact that Sandro went to Eddie Howe for his first goal. This is not a team that is broken or divided. This is a team together, unified, even without their inspirational leader present on the pitch. You know, other players will step up. Dan Burn is a leader. Kieran Trippier is a leader. I know I've said that Kieran Trippier is really struggling at the minute, but he was improved last night. As a 35-year-old fullback, is he going to get found out again this season? Yeah, he will. But he was brilliant yesterday. Sandro Tonali is going to emerge as a leader in the next few weeks. Looking at 8 to 10 for Bruno. Jacob Ramsey that's the third or fourth game on the trot. Well, he wasn't great against Brentford, but no one was. Jacob Ramsey, I thought, was good against Villa in the league. I thought he was really good against PSG. He was really good against Spurs. He was really good again yesterday. So he is emerging as a mainstay in the midfield. A midfield of Sandro Tonali, Joe Linton and Jacob Murphy. You've got a bit of everything there. Lewis Miley hopefully coming back soon to cover right back or step back into the midfield and fill the void left by Bruno Guimaraes. Can you play Tonali and Lewis Miley in the same team and get the most out of them? I'm not sure. So I think they're very similar players. But what a performance. Well happy with that. On we go to the next round. Draw is on Monday. Probably going to draw Man City away, knowing our luck, but you never know. You never know. Anyway, thanks for watching. That is Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 3 in the FA Cup. Yes, get in there.